Hello and welcome to Make It Plain. I am your host, Alfonso McGriff III, in the house to do the doggone thing once again. I want to thank you for tuning in, as I always do, because you are appreciated. I do not take it for granted when people choose to tune in and check out the show. There's any number of other things you could be doing, but you chose to come and hang out with us tonight. And again, I'm just going to continue on doing what I said last week, which is just talking about life. Just life. Just life. What we're going to do, too, is going to open up the lines early. We're going to open these lines up right now. 860-524-8920. 860-524-8920. We're going to get the number up and open up the lines early because we're going to do the interactive thing. It's going to be an interactive conversation. Basically, I'm going to be putting some things on the table, and you will be having the opportunity to, if you got any comments or thoughts or whatever, right from the beginning, we're going to just roll. Also, I just want to let you know that this Friday, I will be presenting McGriff's unique approach to effective communication at Trinity College. And 69 Vernon Street in Hartford, Connecticut. This Friday, that'll be from 6:30 to 8:30. You are welcome to come out and join us. I was told that I can welcome some guests. So if you'd like to come hang out with us this Friday from 6:30 to 8:30 at Trinity College, 69 Vernon Street, Hartford, Connecticut. I will be presenting McGriff's unique approach to effective communication. So it'll be a seminar that I'm doing at Trinity College with some students there. So if you'd like to come out, you can. So again, tonight, I'm going to continue just talking about life and sharing my thoughts about different things as it relates to life in general. One of the things I would like to put on the table tonight is I think we need to spend more time working on ourselves. We need to spend more time working on ourselves. We have done a lot of things historically to bring about change, to improve our conditions as a people and as a nation. We've done a lot of different things. And I think one of the things that have been neglected is the fact that we need to spend a lot of energy and time working on ourselves. We do a lot of blaming. There's a big difference between blaming and understanding historical context and how things came into being. But with that said, we still spend a lot of time blaming people for our condition. Whether it's our personal lives or our historical lives, we spend a lot of time blaming people for our condition. So I think we need to spend more time working on ourselves than we do blaming others for our reality. We need to spend more time working on ourselves than we do criticizing other people. We spend a lot of time criticizing people. And I understand why we do. There are a lot of programs on television now where judges are needed and required. And so these judges are criticizing people. And believe it or not, what's trending has everything to do with what the media is presenting us with. So if Kanye West beats somebody up and that's trending, it's only trending because that's what the media has presented to us. And then we run around trying to find out more about what the media presented to us. So we need to spend more time on ourselves, working on ourselves, than we do criticizing other people. Even though in our reality right now, criticism seems to be just standard procedure. We need to spend more time on ourselves than we do trying to change other people. We spend a lot of time trying to change other people, and we need to spend more time working on ourselves than we do trying to change other people. We also spend a lot of time having unrealistic expectations of others. We have unrealistic expectations of others. So we need to work on that as well. Spend more time working on ourselves than we do trying to, or than we do having these expectations of others. Can we get the phone number up? Again, the line's open. You can have any comments or thoughts anytime you like about what I'm saying, or if you have some thoughts about life that you'd like to share that you think could help us. And again, tonight I'm just talking about life in general. I think we need to spend more time working on ourselves than we do even working on our jobs. A lot of times, many of us have extreme discipline and commitment to our jobs, but we don't exercise the same extreme discipline and commitment when it comes to ourselves. It is my belief that we need to spend more time working on ourselves than we do even on our jobs. Because that's the only way we can have a better life and better conditions. If we work hard and have a serious commitment to everything except ourselves, then everything else will be okay except us. So I think firstly, we need to spend more time working on ourselves than we do even on our jobs. Now there's a simple thing. This is very simple, but I think it's very powerful if we really understand it. And that is, conflict is usually the result of somebody trying to change somebody else. Conflict is usually the result of somebody trying to change somebody else. That's what conflict is about. Conflict would diminish significantly if we were to stop trying to change other people. When you look back from a historical standpoint, and you look back at the so-called religious wars, and you look back at wars in general, and major battles and fights, it all started with somebody or one group of people who wanted to change another group of people in some way, form, or fashion. And as a result, conflict ensued. So if we want to keep conflict down in our lives, one of the greatest ways to minimize conflict is to quit trying to change other people. Quit trying to change other people. Some of us forget that who we are is our life's reality. And it's the same for other people. Who they are is their life's reality. And just like it's difficult for us to totally dismiss our life's reality and just embrace something that might not resonate with us, it's just as difficult for somebody else to do it. That's why people started developing weapons and an understanding of the human psyche. Because if your life's reality is different and somebody's trying to change you and you resist, then the next thing people had to do is create ways to force people, to force their reality on other people. So at the end of the day, the most basic, the foundation of conflict is an attempt to change somebody else. And so we can have less conflict in our lives if we spend less time trying to change other people. Now, life in general, life exists as a series of challenges. And that's how I see it. Life exists as a series of challenges. One of the first and most incredible challenges we had when we were born is a lot of us miss this challenge right here. But this challenge is so incredible to me, but it's real. And this, one of our greatest challenges when we were born, is when we moved from being totally encased in fluids and taking oxygen from the fluid and developing our lungs and all of that stuff. We were living literally the same way fish do. We were taking oxygen from fluid. And in the next second, we were literally breathing air. We were breathing oxygen. So to move from a state of taking oxygen from fluid in the womb into the state of taking oxygen by breathing in air and utilizing our lungs, that is just like incredible. I can't think of too many more things associated with the human reality that's more incredible than that to me. And so I believe that to be one of our first major challenges, that transition. That transition from taking oxygen from fluids, being totally encased in fluids, and then moving into a whole new reality where we're breathing air. That's powerful. So life exists as a series of challenges. Living is navigating these challenges. Living is navigating these challenges. Living is figuring our way through challenges. As long as we live, there will be challenges, some greater than others, but you can't live and there be no challenges. So as long as we're living, there will be challenges, and living is the act of navigating these challenges. And then the quality of our life is determined by how we handle the challenges. So we say life exists as a series of challenges. Living is navigating these challenges. And then the quality of our life is determined by how we handle these challenges. Now, how we handle these challenges is determined by the quality of our thoughts. Because anytime we come across challenges, we have to think to figure out how to move through them. So how we handle the challenges is determined by the quality of our thoughts. And the key to that is thoughts. How we handle the challenges is determined by the quality of our thoughts. The key to that is the word thoughts. Most times when we come across challenges and we try to handle them from an emotional state of being, most cases we won't handle the challenge as best as possible. But if we spend some time thinking and determine the best way to handle the challenges, then it usually works out better for us. So how we handle the challenges is determined by the quality of our thoughts. Now, the quality of our thoughts is determined by the quality of our character. Our character is what is developed over a period of time. And the quality of our character has everything to do, a lot of influence on the decision-making process. So if I'm a person that's a thief and the only thing I know as it relates to how to get things is to figure out how to steal it, then that's the reality of the quality of my character. So when I start trying to address life's challenges, that's what I'm going to lean on. How can I steal to assist me in dealing with these challenges? So the quality of our thoughts is determined by the quality of our character, and our character is developed by our decisions. The quality of our character is determined by our ability to establish control over our personal vibration. Our vibration is our energy. Our vibration is our spirit and how we're feeling from one minute to the next. Our personal vibration is determined by the quality of our consciousness. Our consciousness is basically how we think. And there's a lot of things that affect our consciousness. The quality of our consciousness is determined by the quality of what we eat, in addition to our personal experiences, influences, memories, feelings, sensations, and observations. So our consciousness is developed by a lot of things, including how we eat. Our consciousness is affected by that. So the quality of our consciousness is determined by the quality of what we eat, in addition to our personal experiences, influences, memories, feelings, sensations, and observations. So life exists as a series of challenges. Living is navigating these challenges. The quality of our life is determined by how we handle the challenges. How we handle the challenges is determined by the quality of our thoughts. The quality of our thoughts is determined by the quality of our character. The quality of our character is determined by our ability to establish and control our personal vibration. Our personal vibration is determined by the quality of our consciousness. The quality of our consciousness is determined by the quality of food we eat, in addition to our personal experiences, influences, memories, feelings, sensations, and observations. So there's a lot to life, but it's a beautiful thing to understand life, or begin to understand what life really is. Some of us think we shouldn't have challenges while we're living. But as long as we live, there will be challenges. We got a call, Phil? Yes, call it. Make it plain.
Hello.
Yep.
I was wondering, you was talking about the food you eat. I was wondering what kind of food we should be eating.
Well, if you go on the internet, the easiest way to determine what kind of foods we should eat.
And you know I ain't got no computer. I'm still old-fashioned. I was just wondering what kind of food you be eating.
The easiest way to determine the best foods
for on the internet. I don't have one.
They have a library.
Yeah, they got that downtown everywhere else.
Okay,
I just
so
to hear what style of foods you was enjoying in your.
If you allow me to answer the question.
You didn't tell me though. You want me to go on the internet?
Yeah, but I was gonna tell you what to look for if you let me.
Okay, brother. That's part of eating that good food. Okay, thanks. Me, what you got to say? You talk good, though. Well, I got a whole bunch of stuff to ask you. When are you going to open up school? Then I could have got it in class. When are you going to cut your hair? Because one time I was listening, you had to go to college and they want you to cut your dreads. I wanted to see that. I don't believe you're going to do it. But, what kind of food is it, though? You didn't cut me off, I hope not.
There's a brother named Dr. Sebi, Sebi, S-E-B-I, who I was listening to one day, and I found out the best way to know what the best foods are for us. You can go on the internet, you can go to the libraries, a lot of ways you can get to an internet.
And shouldn't we know what to eat, what kind of foods we should be eating? Shouldn't that come like naturally? Because I'm a vegetarian. I'm almost stopped eating fish and stuff. So I was just wondering. I hate to go around people that cook a lot of meat and stuff. It turns me off. Why did you want to slaughter that animal? And you be talking about the conscience. That's why I think that's conscience. Why we slaughter each other so much. It's just easy for us to slaughter living animals. You see where I'm trying to go with this?
I understand.
So, I think my eating patterns are real good, but I got other areas I'm not so good at. And, I would say to you is, since you're a good teacher, you is a good teacher, when are you going to open classes? I went to one, but I never seen you. You came late. It was up at the Western Club quite a while back.
Well, I don't necessarily have classes, but this past summer, once a month, I did do these talks at the Kabbalah House on Albany Avenue.
Oh, someplace and I'm up and down Albany Avenue, and I don't know where the Kabbalah House is at.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But I try to share information at different times in different places.
Okay. I will let the show go on then, and stay more informed of watching you more often then, and I can catch on to some things.
All right, thanks for the call.
Okay, thanks.
So, what I was about to say is there's a brother named Dr. Sebi, or Sebi, S-E-B-I. If you were to go on the internet, you'd find hundreds of thousands of pages that talk about alkaline foods versus acid foods. And the best way to know the best foods for us is to look at those lists. Alkaline foods have been identified as foods that are best for us. Acid foods, or foods that have that are low on the alkaline scale. Well, foods that are like low on the scale are not good for us. So just look up the alkaline foods versus acid foods. And basically the best way to know what's best for us is the alkaline foods list. Look at those alkaline foods lists, and what I've discovered is that's the best way to know what's best for us. And there's some debates about certain foods that are alkaline versus acid, but for the most part, there are all kind of lists out there that tell us the difference between alkaline foods and acid foods. So that's what I would suggest. I want to talk a little about intelligence. Now, like I said, it's interactive. So if you have something to say, you can call 860-524-8920 and have your input. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about intelligence. We've been taught, well, before I go to intelligence, let me deal a little bit more with food. the brother said, shouldn't we just know naturally what foods are best for us? There are a lot of things that we once knew naturally that we no longer know because of training and conditioning. So we have to relearn a lot of things. And how to eat is one of those things. When you look at many of the foods that's in our diets now, whether it be pig feet or chitlins or hog maws, chicken feet, gizzards, chicken livers, oxtail, pigtail, all of these things were one time scrap foods that we made into something to eat. So, because of our condition and the reality that we were living in. So that became our reality, and that's the stuff we eat, many of us eat today. So what I'm saying is, we may have once naturally understood what the best foods were for us, but we have to now relearn that. At one time, they had these food groups. They had dairy and meat and bread, and these are the things we were supposed to be eating. And you know, they had this little picture with the cheese and all of that stuff, and then the bread, and then the different kind of meats. And you know, we look around today and find out that all of that stuff, cheese and bread and meat, is totally working against our bodies and our health. So if we take in a lot of that stuff, then we're definitely going to be doing damage and creating more diseases. And when we are born into eating that way, then it's definitely tough to change the eating habits. You know, as much as I understand about food, I still scuffle in the eating department. It's just real because of what I've grown accustomed to eating. So it's not easy to make the change. But we can always do things to try to encourage change and just work on ourselves. That's why I said we need to work on ourselves more than we work on anything else, including our jobs. If you have something to say, you can always call 860-524-8920. Now, I was getting ready to talk a little bit about intelligence. Intelligence. We have a call? Yes, caller, make it plain.
Yeah. All right. Alfonso,
yes.
Peace and blessings, man. Sutek. First point I want to make, the whole alkaline diet, which I know is really prevalent nowadays, where people talk about you got to eat a more alkaline diet because it's better for you, and cancer and things like that doesn't thrive in an alkaline environment. Now, the first point I want to make is I'm aware that a lot of the foods that we eat are not wholesome, like all that refined sugar and all that stuff. Some of the meats with all the injections and all that in there is bad for our health. The hormones and all the other stuff they put in, is bad for us. Nevertheless, I think if you think about it rationally, alkaline diet has its benefit, but like my grandfather used to say, too much of everything can be bad for you. Now, for example, I'll give you a great example. As far as alkalinity goes, when it comes to the pH scale or pH balance, parts of your body is supposed to be acidic, parts of your body is supposed to be alkalinic. Now, for example, let's use your stomach lining for. You're supposed to have a high acidic level in your stomach lining. In the childbearing years of a female, she's supposed to have a high acid level in her vagina or vaginal area to kill bacteria during her childbearing years. So if you and this goes on and on. Cancer. Matter of fact, one of the research I was doing about this alkaline diet, we've been told that cancer doesn't thrive in an alkaline environment. 100% false, and I'm going to let you check that out. I'm not just gonna say it. I know you're a great researcher. You got a good mind, so I'm gonna let you check it out. Cancer thrives actually more in an alkaline environment, which is a fact, a natural fact. Now, the other thing too, I want to get into, you know, and I know you hate all this race construct business, but it's beginning to, I'm beginning to get concerned. I really am beginning to get concerned. 'Cause I believe in a lot of universal ideologies now that you're putting out. And a lot of ideas that you put out have been so universal, so cross-cultural. It crosses basically all of humanity right now. But I submit to you. Now, I'm going to say this to you in humility. I submit to you. Right now, I feel that you're doing the same thing Dr. King did. In that Dr. King, he got to a point, you know, where, you know, he took a war out on poverty. Well, poverty is cross-cultural. It's in this country, it crossed from the crackers all the way down to brothers. You know what I'm saying? The Mexicans, you name it. Italians, Africans, everybody. You see what I'm saying? And I feel like, you know, with the universal ideology, which I think we do need some of it, but when I look at the black community right now, I liken it to a human body and the things that you're teaching. If I get a cut on my right arm, if I cut my right arm, I take a knife and I cut my right arm, and my right arm is bleeding, and I need to bandage and do some damage control to stop the bleeding, I want to put that bandage, I want to bandage that right arm, that where the blood is coming from. I want to stop the bleeding from that right arm. And right now, the black community, we bleeding, bro. We've been bleeding for 300 years. You know, to do something that's so universal that it touches everybody, we bleeding the most. We want to stop the bleed. And I want you to chime in and, you know, kind of put your thoughts together and you know, target the black community. Right now, and I understand that the conscious community, like right there in Harlem, you got the Nuwabians, you know, you got the Moors, you got the Hebrew Israelites. The conscious community has split it into so many areas, all of us trying to stop this bleeding in the black community. Your arm is bleeding. That's where you put the bandage. I'm going to let you chime in. Let me know what you're thinking about that. Peace.
All right, thanks for the call. This is what I'm thinking. I've been watching what's going on in the quote-unquote conscious community. I've been watching what's been going on with all these different brothers. I've seen all of the debates. I've seen Brother Seti, I've seen Brother Polite, I've seen, you know, Brother Muhammad, I've seen Ali Muhammad, the brother from the Hebrew Israelites. I've seen all of that stuff, and actually I even lived it at one time. At one time I used to go to Harlem every Wednesday to this place called the United African Movement. And I used to go there every week, man, and I used to see and listen. As a matter of fact, as crazy as it sounds, I had talked to Dr. Khalid Muhammad and had scheduled a date. We finalized a date for him to come to Hartford to speak at that time. And about 2 weeks after we finalized the date, no, it was less than a week after we finalized the date, he passed away, because I was in the process of finalizing the venue. We got the date, and I was getting the venue, securing the venue, so I could start promoting the fact that he was coming. And I had connected through him, through a sister that I brought here to speak, Asantewa Nzinga, I think was her name. And she was really impressed. She liked what I was doing here. and I told her I wanted to bring Brother Khalid Muhammad, and she connected me with him, and I spoke to him personally, and we worked it out for him to come here to speak. And then a few days later, he died. So I am very familiar with the RBG movement and all of the revolutionary brothers and sisters out here. I was extremely angry at the time as well, and I was extremely caught up in the whole racial dynamic, because I believe that if you was black in America and you weren't angry at what was going on with black people, then something had to be wrong with you. But as I continued to study our history and study our people, one of the things that I found out was the reason why on the continent there could be so many different languages, and there could be so many different cultural values and so many different systems, is because they all move from a common place of universal laws, natural harmonious order, and life preservation. That was the foundation they all moved from. For people who don't understand that, they'll look and they'll say that they weren't all the same and they didn't all believe in the same things, but they're missing the point that they all moved from these universal places. Same common universal foundation. And the power, the true power in African people and in our spirit is that we are a universal people. We have a universal spirit. And universal concepts, to me, is what's going to get us out the mess. Because universal concepts are not controlled by man-made boxes. The Hebrew Israelites, a man-made box. Nubians, a man-made box. Muslims, a man-made box. Christians, man-made box. Jews, man-made box. Hare Krishnas, man-made box. Buddhists, man-made box. What I'm saying is there are any number of man-made boxes that we choose to put ourselves in. Be down with the red, black, and green man-made box. The new Black Panther Party, man-made box. The old Black Panthers, man-made box. We can go on and on. The Marcus Garvey's group. And we can deal with all of these man-made boxes. But any box created by a man is limited by the consciousness of the men involved. And if I subscribe to a philosophy of any man and invest my entire life in that philosophy, then I have removed myself from the universe and all that the universe has to offer me as an infinite human becoming, one who has infinite potential. I withdraw myself to becoming one whose potential is limited to the man I'm following, or the philosophy I'm following, or the box that I've chosen to walk into. So I have come to a place where I understand the true power in universal concepts. I'm not shackled by race. I'm not shackled by white people. I'm not shackled by any of these religions or any of man's philosophies. One of the things I've learned, I said it even early in the show, is we need to become more students and less followers. We have too many followers and not enough students. And students are people who take in information and develop an understanding of that information and then make manifest that understanding based on how they live to the best of their ability. Followers just follow people's philosophy and embrace other people's philosophies and thought processes as their own, and then follow for the rest of their lives. We have too many followers. Yes, caller, make it plain.
Yes, Alfonso, I just want to do a follow-up. I know last week you said you was looking to be a public speaker, and I spoke to Cliff Thornton a couple of days ago, and I told him pretty much what you was aiming for. And Cliff Thornton, like I mentioned last week, used to go all throughout the country giving speeches, and he said he said he would definitely give you some advice and try to work with you any way that he feel he can. And basically, I don't know, if you have a contact source to get in contact with Cliff or not. But he pretty much said that, it's not going to be easy, but it is possible. But let me ask you another issue. Cliff was on the program this past Monday with Reverend Henry Brown, Real Talk. And I called in and told him, basically, I'm not in the criminal justice system. I never got busted. I don't have a felony record on my rap sheet. But I'm trying to address to him that I'm really not that much better off or not that much different than the guys that, and maybe that's wrong for me to even think that way, because I think that's still not giving myself enough credit. But definitely, people say the guys that's incarcerated there in the criminal justice system, they have the hardest time in the world getting back into the mainstream economy. Do you think it's a big difference between when you grow up in the inner city hoods here in America, comparable to the guys who don't get into the criminal justice system, comparable to the guys who do?
I personally think it's an illusion. I think it's an illusion of a bigger challenge to some degree. And what I mean by that is there are people that never been in the criminal justice system who do not use their ability to think and create and solve problems and find themselves in the same scuffle as anybody else. I think the bigger problem is not whether you're in or out of the criminal justice system. The criminal justice system can only restrict you so much. But I was just getting ready to talk about education, or intelligence. And I think intelligent people, whether they've been in the criminal justice system or not, can figure out how to navigate this thing. It's people who have been trained to accept the idea that my reality is limited because I'm a part of the criminal justice system, or people who've been trained to accept my reality is limited. I'm not in the criminal justice system, but I don't have this particular education that's required. I think it's more conditioning than it is anything else. I think that as humans becoming, we have the potential to look around and figure out what people are complaining about and use our minds to solve problems. Everybody that's making money is solving somebody's problems. The greatest way to start a business is to solve problems. So you can never have been in the criminal justice system, but if you don't have the mindset and the consciousness and the wherewithal to look around and create your own way, if we don't look around and create our own way and don't have the mindset to create our own way, then it really doesn't matter. So I don't look at it as a criminal justice system problem or not. I look at it as a consciousness problem.
Well, I agree with the mindset approach, because I know there has been people who've been in the criminal justice system who've been able to utilize their mind and go a lot further than people who haven't.
Don King came out of the criminal justice system. Bernard Hopkins came out of the criminal justice system. There are a lot of people that came out of the criminal justice system and looked around and see how this thing worked and figured out a way to make it work for them. So I just believe it has more to do with the mindset than it has to do with the stigma associated with being in the criminal justice system.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But you would definitely, and you have a son, you would definitely advise your son not to get in the criminal justice system, because even though those people that you just mentioned have been able to turn their lives around, people will still tell you, and this is where we might get into the conditionary factor, you're going to have it tremendously hard. The first problem that most people talk about when you get into the criminal justice system is that you're going to have a hard time finding a job. Nobody is going to really hire you.
But my brother, is people with 4-year degrees and master's degrees who are having a hard time trying to find a job.
Right.
So again, soon as in this system and setup in 2014, the way things are, as soon as you operate in the mindset, I have to find a job, you walking down the wrong.
Right.
You have to be of the mindset. We have to be of the mindset. I have to create a job. I have to create a job. That's why that I suggested right now, the way things are, that in order to graduate high school, you have to have apply for or receive a certificate for a patent. Because what happens is it moves people in the mindset of creating and solving problems. If you are required to have a patent by the time, at least one patent by the time you graduated high school, it would move people in a different mindset. But right now, even though jobs haven't been available for the last 20 years for people with bachelor's and master's degrees, this ancient system has still got kids believing that I need to go to college to get a good job. No, you need to get as much learning and understanding as possible so that you can create a good job. And that's what it's really about now. If you have the mindset, I got to get a job, whether you getting ready to graduate college or get out of prison, your mind is just, we're just behind the 8 ball right off the rip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely true, man. I have no disagreement, because, I've been following Dr. Claude Anderson for a long time, and his motto is, we need to be producers, owners, controlling things, and he advocates business, looking at what the Asians do, and then right behind them, looking at what the Jews are doing. Blacks in this country are at the bottom of the totem pole.
Brother John, we can't do what the Asians do, and we can't do what the Jews do. You can look at them as much as you want. We can't do what the Asians do. We can't do what the Jews do. We can't even do what the Puerto Ricans do. The reason why is because just because we black don't mean we operate from the same historical, cultural, spiritual place. All of those groups that people keep naming are moving from the basic common foundation of religion, language, and culture. Mm-hmm. They already have that in place. A bunch of black people come in a room, and one coming from a British colonial place, the other one coming from a French colonial place, the other one coming from a Portuguese colonial place, the other one coming from all of these colonial mindsets and consciousness and different religions and all that. Wherever we were colonized, that's where we're coming from. So anytime, I don't care who it is, I don't care what their name or their title or how famous they are, when they get involved in these comparisons, or how the Asians do it, how the Puerto Ricans do it, how the Jews do it, we can't do it how they do it. Because we getting in the room and we're immediately coming from 5 different languages because we're coming from our colonial powers mindset. We coming from 5 different religions because we're coming from our colonial powers mindset. We're coming from 5 different historical, cultural bases because we're coming from our colonial powers mindset. So we can't get involved in comparing ourselves to how other people are doing it, because we're operating under a unique set of circumstances that none of those other groups have to deal with or have had to deal with. So we have to create a different place to come from.
Yeah.
Because it will never work the way they're working. Not now, we can't. Because we're not coming from this common foundation of language, religion, culture, and history. We're just not.
Well, just I'll leave it at this. Just identify, and maybe you had already did what we can do. You just said what we can't do. We can't look at those examples, which definitely those are good, successful examples, because owning something is a lot better than renting something.
I spent a good portion of the first part of the show talking about what I think would work for us.
Right.
And I talk about universal understandings. What work for us. You know, I have to admit to you, my brother, I'm not of the mindset ownership is better than renting. I'm of the mindset figuring out how to use this setup to serve us is better than not doing that. And if we have to rent to do it, that's fine. If we own something to do it, that's fine. If we buy something to do it, well, however we use our wherewithal to make this reality serve us, that's what I'm of the mindset of. Yeah. But this business about, we need to own stuff, we don't own nothing. And even if we think we own it, we don't own it. Because the system has been set up so that whatever you think you own, if you don't pay the taxes on it, no matter how much you already pay for it, it could get snatched right out from under you. And all you have to do is find yourself in a circumstance financially where you can't pay the taxes, you don't own a damn thing. Even if you own something, everything that you need to sustain your so-called ownership is controlled by somebody else. The electricity you need is controlled by somebody else. The water you need is controlled by somebody else. Everything you need is controlled by somebody else. So this illusion of the idea of this black ownership stuff, I think is noble, and I think it's needed, depending on where the consciousness of whoever we are dealing with that's cool. But I'm saying where I am and where I am now, man, that kind of talk doesn't work with me. It doesn't move me at all. Because I don't see it as the best way for us to move. Not me. But I do understand that a lot of us operate in that place, that racial black movement place. I really, and I'm going to come back here next week again and try to talk about life. We have a long ways to go. We have a long ways to go. We don't have no more time for no calls right now. I only got 1 minute. But next week, I'm going to come back here and talk about life. And if y'all want to call back and you want to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about, I'm good with that. You want to talk about race, we can deal with that. If you want to talk about economics or black business or whatever that stuff is that y'all want to deal with, man, it's wide open. Let's do it. You can talk about it. It's just that I will also share my perspective about it as well, man. And it's not working for me at this stage of the game. It's not working for me at this point in my life. But this Friday, I will be talking about effective communication at Trinity College. McGriff's unique approach to effective communication at Trinity College, 69 Vernon Street in Hartford, Connecticut. You're invited to come check it out. It's from 6:30 to 8:30. And that's what I'll be doing this Friday. So, listen, y'all have a wonderful rest of your evening. And if you have something to say, you can call back next week. You can feel free to put it on the table. And I'll feel free to share what I think about it, and you can share what you think about it. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Have a good night. Peace.